guys, and happy Homebrew Wednesday. How the hell are you? So, I've tallied up how many brews I've done this year, and I tell you what, I can count them on one hand. From January until just 2 weeks ago, I had only brewed 2 beers the whole year. It's been a slow year. In contrast, over the course of the last 3 years, I have a bag full of these things. It's full. So, yeah. So I've been slacking off on the homebrew for a while. Not because I don't want to, but you know what? I still had 6 or 7 kegs left over after Christmas. So really, I still have beer. I've still got the coconut IPA. I still have some of the Heady Topper clone that was way too bitter. I did, and I think it was in February, I brewed up a brown ale, the Honey Nut Brown, and did that one again. So I've got that on tap too. 2.5 weeks ago, I went ahead and brewed up that Imperial Stout that I had wanted to try. And I also got a chance also to do the hot cinnamon pale ale. For the Imperial Stout, it's not quite Imperial anymore. If you go according to the BJCP 2015 guidelines, it fits perfectly inside an American Stout, even though I had used some no-ball hops. And that's perfectly fine. I was targeting about a 10.5% beer, and I ended up with about a 7.1% beer. So here are those 2 beers now, and here's the hot cinnamon pale ale, obviously, and here's the American Stout. So if I swirl it around a little bit, you can see it's quite viscous, sticks to the glass. The notes on it right now, I'm getting hints of chocolate and a fair amount of roast, but it's smooth. No alcohol whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and take a sip. Cheers. It's almost cough syrup. Not quite that thick. It's just smooth. Not too chewy, but I think it's got a great body on it. I'm actually quite happy with the way this turned out. The reason why it's not Imperial, though, there's a bit of a story behind that, and that's because when I was brewing this, I looked at the sheet to see how much water I should dough in with. It said actually to use 10 gallons. Now, I was brewing a 6-gallon batch. So it said go ahead, put in 10 gallons, and I didn't do the math manually. I went ahead and just accepted what Beersmith wanted me to, for the mash. So I went ahead and doughed in with 10 gallons, and I looked up on the sheet, and I just looked at the number that I should actually be sparging with, and I saw 4.5 gallons. So then I started to sparge. And then as the first run-ins were coming out, I could see that they were at 1.072, and I was really expecting something a whole lot more than that. I was expecting somewhere around 1.095 or something like that at least. But yeah, it was much lower. And then the sparge method that I had chosen was a batch sparge, and I've done this in the past where I can look and I can take the batch sparge number and use that for my fly sparge or continuous sparge setup, and it works just fine. But the number that I looked at that was 4.5 gallons was actually how much wort I should collect from the first run-ins, and I was actually only supposed to sparge with 1 gallon, 1.5 gallon of water. So I had sort of much more volume than I was expecting at, of course, a lower gravity. So I could have made up for that, did a longer boil, whatever. I just sort of accepted it for what it was and just readjusted my numbers, readjusted my hopping, and yeah, continued on. So I think I came out with an original gravity of 1077, and it's come down to 1.022. So definitely why is high in the alcohol, but it's not sweet either. I mean, it's got that sort of chocolate sweetiness to it, but it's nowhere near cloying or anything like that. The mouth feels just gorgeous. The Imperial Stout that I was making was hoping it's one that I could actually let age until Christmas. But this one I think I'll just carve up and start drinking right away. I really like the way that this turned out, even though it was a mistake. It's a good mistake. This one, I used 100% of the Red X malt. First time I've tried it, and I was hoping to get a red color out of it. I was targeting for a original gravity of 1.055 or 1.050, somewhere in there would have been a nice ballpark. I actually ended up at 1.062, and now I just did a sample in the hydrometer, and the final gravity is at 1.012. So it did go a little bit browner than I was hoping for, but it's still a pretty nice color. So this was hot cinnamon, where I tried to get a taste of an atomic fireball, where I used 3 parts cinnamon and 1 part cayenne pepper. And when you take, let's say, thank you, Keezer. So when you take a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, put it in with 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, mix it up, dip your finger in that and take a taste, and that's going to taste just like an atomic fireball. And that's what I put in here. I put in 2 teaspoons worth of spices. I think it was 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper and 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. Put it in at 5 minutes at the end of the boil, and it smelled just like an atomic fireball. But as you know, when you ferment, tastes on things change. And if the aroma is any indication, then it's nowhere near what it was in the aroma when I was boiling it. Let's go ahead and take a sip. Cheers. It's got a light to medium mouthfeel on it. I get just a hint of cinnamon, but no spice at all. And the reason why I went so light on the cayenne pepper was because I was reading a post on Homebrew Talk that someone had put in a tablespoon of cayenne pepper in a stout, and that he thought that was very, very hot and could feel it even the next day. But I'm not getting any of the heat off this at all. I think this is going to be one where I'm going to have to, I'm definitely going to add some spices and have to figure out what the right proportions are to bring that up to something. As it tastes right now, this is not something I want to drink 5 gallons of. But if I can get the heat and the atomic fireball sort of taste added to this, it's definitely something I'll share. So beyond that, there's really not a lot going on, except this weekend. I'm about 95% sure I'm going to be able to participate with Sammy the Thrifty Brewer and hopefully Harry Brew 69 and New to Homebrew Tom. We'll have a Brew Saturday. We'll be starting at 2 p.m. Central European Standard Time, or 1 o'clock Zulu, or 1 o'clock GMT time. So yeah, really looking forward to that. I've been watching all of the single hop beer reviews that have been going out, that Brad from Puka NC and Colorado Fly Fisherman had sort of arranged. So all the guys that are doing the beer reviews, fantastic job. really wants me to go out there and try all of these hops, which I have most of them in my freezer. Which I did just buy a new freezer too, as well, just specifically for my hops. So now I got a hop freezer. Really looking forward to incorporate some of the lemon drop, Azaka, of course El Dorado, and try and make a nice little mix of a tropical IPA. So really, thanks a lot, guys, for putting those videos out and telling us what you think about those hops, because it's really helping out even the guys that are not tasting it like me, in order to make decisions about what I'm going to brew in the near future. For the guys in the UK who are doing the Smash Off 2015, awesome job. Really like watching that unfold, and gives me a lot of memories from when I participated in it last year. It was just a fantastic time. Things like that. So much to learn, so much to just try, and you get to see how people sort of put a spin on their own take on a specific beer, and smashes, you know. So that's really cool. Congratulations to all you guys. Really looking forward to seeing the rest of those come out. So you want to see that hop freezer? Alright, so it's just one of those half-size freezer things. Underneath there is the wine fridge. Crack this bad boy open, and she is full to the rafters. I'm telling you, I got enough hops, I think, for the next 5 years. Here's all my single sort of A hops. I've got Simcoe, I've got El Dorado, I've got Citra, you name it, it's in there. This guy's full to the brim up here. Got some older sort of stuff in there. Oh, what else I got? Oh, Simcoe. Man, it's just jam-packed. Jam-packed. And then, of course, up here on the top, all the menu stuff. Some Centennial. What do we got here? Amarillo. Some lemon drop in there. Some Mosaic. Galaxy, Equinox, El Dorado, and well, there you go, full. So in about 1 week's time, I'll be flying to Seattle to spend 2 weeks out there with my best friend Jeff and his family. And so definitely looking forward to taking a trip down to Portland and hopefully being able to shake the man's hand in person, Kevin Clements, and yeah, hopefully meet up with Christian as well and anybody else that's in the area. We haven't set a date yet to actually meet up, but it's probably going to be somewhere between the 7th and the 14th of July. In Seattle, if you live in Seattle and you want to hook up and go out and have a couple beers, or do a craft beer tasting, or do a brewery tour, or have any ideas, contact me. Send me a private message, send me an email, or whatever you need to do, and let's hook up. Let's go out one night and see if we can get some brew tubers in the Seattle area together and have a good time. So if that's something you want to do, don't be shy. You know, I'm not, so let's just do it. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a hell of a week and have a better weekend. Cheers.